Hi everyone, welcome to today's live stream. This is the last live stream for the month of April. And if you remember, our theme for this month was Ignite Your Spark. And I wanted to remind you why I chose that as the theme. The goal for this month's videos was to ignite that spark in you. Ignite your video spark so that you could start to create videos in order to market yourself as well as your business. And the reason for that is because video marketing is crucial to the success of any business, whether we're a solopreneur or if we're a major Fortune 100 company. We need to market ourselves in order for people to learn who we are and what we do. And the best way to do that is through video. It's not the only way, but that is certainly one of the ways that you can do it. And some of the things that it can do is it can totally help you improve your ability to engage with your audience. It's great SEO for your website. If you're embedding videos onto your website, it's great. If you are putting content that's educational or informational based on YouTube and people are searching for that, it is definitely the best way to communicate and get your message across to your audience. So if you are not using it, if you've been on the fence, I hope that the previous 3 weeks of this month have been able to help you. And what I want to do today is sort of recap what we talked about over the past month, and then hopefully help you put that all together so that you can try to do it on your own. But then at the end, I'm going to share an opportunity for a free video challenge. It's going to be a 5-day video challenge where you're going to be able to pull in all of the elements plus some additional ones that will allow you to get started if you've been on the fence or if you have started but something has held you back for whatever reason. My goal is for you to at least dip your toes in and start again with getting started using videos in order to market your business, now that I can speak clearly. So let's recap what we talked about. I think I've already shared with you on multiple occasions what I tend to do for a lot of my live streams is I do not have them pre-scripted. I have an outline that I use and it's on my computer, and I use that as a guide in order for me to remember exactly what it is that I want to talk about, because I don't want to waste your time on unnecessary information and I just want to get to it. So starting first. The first week we talked about the idea factory, and that's where a lot of people tend to get stumped is I don't know what to talk about in my videos. I know a lot of stuff, but I have absolutely no idea what to share, how much to share, and all of that. So we talked about brainstorming and then organizing your video vision through the creating ideas for videos that you want to create. So one of the things that you need to do is you have to have clarity on who you're going to be talking to. So that's something that is important whether or not you're doing videos. You need to, on any level of marketing, you need to understand who your target audience is, and more importantly, what they specifically need. And then you also need to understand not only what their pain points are, but how do they communicate their pain points? What's the language that they're using so that you can use that language as well? Because typically, I know I speak for myself, but I know that others do this too. If I am suffering from something and I want to understand how to do something, or I want to learn about something, I'm going to type into Google or directly into YouTube, whatever it is that I need. So how do I fill in the blank? So that's the kind of language and verbiage that you need to make sure that you're crystal clear on so that you can create the answers or the solutions to those problems so that your ideal audience, when they search for that term, they can find you. So that's number one. But what I did was I focused on helping you with the tools that you can use that will expedite that process for you. So 2 of the tools that I talked about, they weren't the only ones, and I probably glossed over some of the other ones. But 2 of the tools that you can use is everybody's been using ChatGPT 3.5. You can certainly use that ChatGPT 4 has a plugin called Whimsical that I showed you on whatever day the first week was. Um, and that tool helps really fine tune and give you some really good video ideas. Another tool could be Gemini, which is Google's ChatGPT or AI writer. And then Copilot is another one that's done by Microsoft. There's another one called Jasper that is a standalone that I really love using, and I featured this month for the tools that I like to use. But there are plenty of others that are out there that you can use, and you can use them with plugins. So ChatGPT 3.5, you can use the keywords everywhere plugin, and that will help you fine tune information, whether it's that you're trying to do a client persona, which everyone should have, or if you're trying to generate some video ideas, you can ask ChatGPT. Another sort of non-technical way that you can find out is simply by asking your audience, whether you're going to survey by an email or if you're going to reach out to them on social media. Those are slower methods, but they're certainly more fine-tuned. But you can certainly still use the AI tools that I recommended. And I love using AI as a tool in general. I don't think it's something that we should be afraid of. I don't think it's something that we should be avoiding. It is something that we should embrace and figure out how we can utilize it in our businesses, because I think if we choose not to, if we choose to ignore it, it's going to be at our peril, because other businesses are of us if we choose to ignore it. The second week of April, we talked about planning your project, your video project, from the planning stage to posting or marketing. And I talked about the importance of that, as well as tools that you can use. So obviously, having a plan and planning out what you're going to talk about and when you're going to talk about it is vital. It is absolutely crucial in order for you to figure out exactly what it is that your audience needs. And I gave an example of what I'm doing this year. This year for 2024, I decided to do two things. I'm planning more precisely, and I'm planning in a fashion where I'm doing themes for each month. And the biggest thing that I'm doing is I am now doing more live streams, which is not something that I'm comfortable doing. It is definitely something that I've avoided like the plague for a really long time. And I've opted to fight that fear by doing it. And so I'm killing two birds with one stone, if you will. So in the planning phase, what I do is I planned out my entire year in terms of what themes I wanted to talk about that were relating to my core framework for my business. My business is based on embracing YouTube video. That is the goal and the intention of what I want my audience to be able to do. And I want them to be able to learn about it. I want them to be able to then create the content, and then I want them to understand how to market that content out into the atmosphere so that their ideal audience can find them. So based on that framework, I came up with roughly about 12 to 13 themes that I played around with, and they weren't necessarily in any sort of chronological order, just sort of, in some instances, it matched the month or the season. Like in March, it was spring. So it was springing into action, and it was springing into doing things like spring cleaning your YouTube channel and things like that. March and April tend to be my favorite months. And April, I wanted you to really be able to take some of the ideas that we generated in March and really act on them. So I wanted it to be able to ignite a spark within you so that you can get started. Because even though we're in April, you still can get started doing videos and trying to utilize video as a marketing tool in your marketing toolbox. So the tools that I focused on for this particular live stream week were planning tools. And my favorite video planning tool is Trello. I like to use Trello because it's very organized. It keeps me organized. I keep everything in it so that I don't have to go hunting for information, but everything is planned out the way that I need it to be planned out. And I shared with you what that looked like in terms of all of my live streams. I've pre-planned. Not only do I know the theme, but I know what I'm going to talk about each week of that month. I go live every Wednesday, and starting from May on is going to be at 2 p.m. instead of 1 p.m. Eastern time. And I then figure out, what am I going to talk about under those video topic ideas for that particular week? What am I going to speak about? And I get an outline written out. And then the day of filming or live streaming, I'll just come on live and I'll go through all of the different points that I want to talk about. And they can ultimately end up being either direct to camera, like today's video is going to be, or more often than not, in the previous videos that I've done this month, I shared my screen and I showed you how I did whatever. I showed you how to use a particular piece of software. So that's the primary tool that I use for planning, but you can use Asana or Monday.com, or you can use a variety of other different tools if that is a tool that makes sense for you. But Trello was my preferred tool. Then it came time, and I think in that process, I also talked about how I plan out how I'm going to film myself. So if it's a live stream, I tend to, right now I'm using Riverside. I decided to test out Riverside for the month of April. And you know, I'm not a huge fan of Riverside. I don't think I'm going to continue with it. I was using Restream before, but I think in May and beyond, or maybe June, I'm going to test out StreamYard. I haven't tested that one in a really long time, so I'm going to test out StreamYard, and then I'm going to make up my mind which one I'm actually going to go with, because this is a new arena for me. I'm not used to doing live streams, so I want to use a tool that is simple and easy, because that's my thing. It has to be simple to use and easy to learn, and it also has to do certain things. So I want to be able to broadcast to multiple platforms without having to jump through hoops in order to do it all. And so I know Restream can do that. Riverside has its perks, and then I'm going to see what StreamYard has to say after I test them out. So that's in recording live streams. In recording standard, regular, pre-recorded videos, I tend to use a tool called Big View, because I like to record my videos on my cell phone. And I like to, when I'm doing pre-recorded videos, I like to record them using a teleprompter. So that is the tool that I tend to use for that. And then I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the tech time, which is coming up. And then for posting, the other tool that I tend to use in my planning is two tools. I use Opus Clip in order to get my videos shorted, shorted. And then I use Cast Magic, which allows me to repurpose in text format. But again, I'm going to talk about those more specifically when I come up. But that's it for the planning stage. So for planning from post to planning, I'm using Trello for everything. It has all of my pre-production information, what videos I need to brainstorm ideas from, what ideas have I created. Once I've got the outlines, I'm putting the outlines in Trello, and then I'm, moving the cards from whatever stage they're in, whether it's pre-production, I've recorded it, I'm now going to be marketing it, to it's gone on to my email list, or in my email list newsletter, it's become a blog, whatever. I then am able to plan that all out. So now next up is Tech Time. And so Tech Time is all about the various video creation tools that I use for every aspect of my video production. So there's 4 stages that I spoke about: pre-production, production, post-production, and then repurposing or marketing or promoting. If we're going to keep with the P's, it's promoting. And so all of these areas are vital in order for you to effectively market your content. So the pre-production is definitely in the brainstorming phase. You need to know exactly what it is that you're going to be talking about, who you're targeting, and what are those video ideas, and outline those video ideas if you are someone that can wing it, or if you are someone that is doing it live, and then have a script written if you need to have that script written out. Again, all of the tools that I mentioned before, the ChatGPTs, the Copilot, the Jaspers, the Geminis, all of those tools can help you craft your script. But as always, and I will always sound like a broken record, tweak the scripts once they are created in AI. Do not just take it as written and then put it onto or into your video teleprompter and read as is, because more often than not, it's not going to sound genuine like you, and you're going to need to tweak it to some degree. Obviously, if you're doing an outline, that isn't the case, because you can just sort of, oh, okay, that's the next thing I need to talk about, and move on. So once the pre-production phase is finished, production is all about recording or filming your video. I mentioned before that I'm using for live stream right now Riverside. Choose the live streaming platform that makes sense for you based on affordability and the capabilities of that platform. And that's what I'm experimenting with right now. So hopefully I will make up my permanent decision on whether I'm going to go back to Restream or if I'm going to try out StreamYard and maybe like StreamYard the best and stick with them. We'll see. The other way, as I mentioned before, is BigView, which is a video teleprompter app that also has a desktop version. So that's where I will either upload my script, or within BigView, they have their own AI writer. So you can write the script in BigView and then copy it onto your, or save it, I should say. And then from there, it can then go to your phone, and you can then record and read your teleprompter at the same time without it seeming or feeling like you are reading. The trick on that is to write the way you naturally speak. So if you are having an AI writer write it, you need to really edit the heck out of that so that it sounds like you. So however it is that you normally speak, you want it to sound exactly like you. The next phase after that is post-production. And so for post-production, we talked about the various ways that you can edit your videos. Obviously, if you're doing a live stream, it's live, so there's no editing involved. You can always in post trim it or do something extra on it like that. But obviously, as it's going out live, there's not a whole heck that you can do about it unless you are using a tool that allows you to, which all of those tools like Riverside, actually I haven't tried it with Riverside, but I know that Restream, and I'm pretty sure that StreamYard, if you have multiple cameras, can give you the ability to switch from one angle to the other. So that can kind of give you the effect of editing, and I'm going to test that out as well. But if you are pre-recording your video, you can use, like I mentioned before, BigView to record it. BigView does have some sort of an editor in it. I've never used it, so I can't speak to the capabilities. I shouldn't say I've never used it. I've tested it out. I didn't care for it, so therefore I don't use it. But it all, at the end of the day, is based on what your comfortability level is with editing. Some people and clients and prospects that I've had are like, I don't want to have anything to do with editing. And so if that is the case, there are platforms and tools that are out there that can edit for you automatically. It's not going to be fancy schmancy, but it's going to look good. WiseCut is one of them. Gling is another one. And there's some other ones that I can't think of right now. So if you would just like it to have some jump cuts, get rid of all of the silence and the dead space, and maybe a lot of the filler words like the ums and right and or so, then you can have a tool like that. The tool that I featured last week was Kapwing or Kapwing, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And that has some features in it that makes editing a little bit easier for you, as well as it also provides you with the ability to repurpose your video, which is coming up in the next phase or stage. But besides Kapwing, there's Camtasia if you're doing screen recorded videos, which I tend to do a lot of. There's other tools like Descript that also make editing a lot easier. And one of the tools that they have, and Big View also has, I have to double check and see if Kapwing has this, is nowadays they know that people are reading scripts or a teleprompter. And so if you have that ability to read a teleprompter as you're recording and your eyes go down, like my eyes have come down a number of times because I'm looking at my outline. And I just want to make sure that I am on point. And if this was a pre-recorded video and I wanted to correct this, I could put it into Descript. Big View also has this, and there might have been another one that is escaping me. And they have the ability to move using AI, move your eyes from the eye line going down to the eye line of the camera, because it is crucial that whenever you are filming yourself, you are looking directly at the camera. It is odd in some instances because there's nobody behind the camera. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm talking to you because I'm looking at the camera. And some people find that hard to adjust to. So you can either put something behind the camera so that it makes it looks like you're talking to someone, or you can use a tool like this. If you're glancing down or away for a short period of time, it will reaffix your eye line so that it looks like you're looking at the camera. And I have a video, I've done a sample video or an example video on Descript on my YouTube channel somewhere. And then what else? The next stage is repurposing. And so I talked about that in reference to repurposing the physical video, which you can use a tool like Opus Clip. There's video.ai, there's Get Munch, there's Kapwing that you can use to repurpose your long form and make those shorter and put those on all of your social media platforms, whether it be TikTok, Shorts, or LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. So you can do that with those tools. And there are a lot of those tools now give you sort of like a grading system so that you can, it helps you pick the best results. But I still also recommend listening to it, watching it and seeing, is that really a good representation of what you want to say? And also bear in mind that just because the clip is maybe a good representation, it's still going to need some examples, or not examples, it's still going to need some extra something that can tell the story a little bit further, because it's really literally cutting out a clip of something that you spoke about. So you can do one of two things. You can create a caption that refers to what you're talking about, and like LinkedIn is a great place to do that. But another way of what you can do is you can, and Kapwing recommends doing this, you can take the clip and then in post, so you're already in post, you can then give a little bit of a voiceover that leads into this. This works if you can ideally have a clip that's shorter. Well, it depends on where you're going to put it. If it's going to be on YouTube Shorts, it has to be shorter than a minute long clip. So you'd have to maybe use a 30-second clip, and then you can add some voiceover to it so that you can give it some context and you can sort of explain what this clip is about, and use that just as a voiceover. You don't have to put yourself on camera. So you can certainly do that in order to give it some depth in terms of what it is that you're talking about. Because more often than not, when you take a clip out of context, it's very rare that a 1 minute clip up to a minute clip is going to tell the story from start to finish, because the way that we normally speak, especially if we're being interviewed or in an instance like this, it's highly unlikely that I've said anything in a minute's time that's cohesive from start to finish. So you want to definitely be able to enhance it, whether you're doing it by text or doing a voiceover on it. So I want to take this opportunity now to invite you to the 5-day video challenge, Unlock Your Video Potential. That's going to now start on May 6th and run to May 10th. Now, the point and purpose of this video challenge is not only for you to take what was shared this month and implement them, but it's really to help you get over the overwhelm that usually is associated with getting started, and also to tackle any fears that you may have, whether it's being on camera or the fear of just not knowing what to say, or even the fear of being judged, because that was definitely a fear that I had. So I want to share with you some of the things and tools that I've used in order to overcome the overwhelm, in order to get past any sort of fears, whether it was being on camera, because I'm not, I may be a little bit more used to it now, but that is not necessarily something that is in my comfort zone. And so the way that this challenge is going to go is you're going to get an email every single day for 5 days. And in that email, you're going to be tasked with something to do related to whatever that topic of that email is. So if it's brainstorming, it's going to have something to do with helping you brainstorm ideas or get video topic ideas and the things that you can do in order to do that. You then go off and do that video. Then, if you need my help, simply hit the reply to that email and ask me whatever questions that you may have. And I will either respond with a Loom video or I'll respond with a text message, depending on how complicated the answer is going to be. If it's the more complicated, the more likely it's going to be a video response. So once you have done that, we can then hopefully at the end of our week together, we will get together on a Zoom call and you can ask any additional questions that you have. Ideally, the hope is for you to share what you've done, meaning show your video, and then, just sort of have an opportunity to share with others what your experience was with this. And then I'll share with you ways that I can help you moving forward on your journey to starting to use video on a more consistent basis in order to grow your online presence. Video is really, really impactful to one's business. It is a tool that not only you can use in order for you to get found by your ideal audience, but a lot of us are now expanding our businesses to the point where we're doing podcasts and we're getting interviewed and things of that nature. And I think we all are wised up to know that people do research. They do their reconnaissance on us before they reach out. And one of the things that works well, especially if you're either going to be invited to be a guest on a podcast or as a guest speaker at an event, is they want to see what your style is. And why not have the ability to have videos that are out there that share not only your knowledge and your expertise, but that show you as a knowledgeable person that's articulate and that you can share content on what you do best, on what you're an expert in. And if there is no content out there for them to see, they're going into this blind. And so the likelihood of people reaching out to you without you soliciting them is going to be slim if you do not have any content out there already. Now, if you've already made a reputation for yourself and you're well known and you've networked your behind off, that's different. But for people that are starting out, that are still in the infancy stage of their business, they do need to have all of the help that they can get, and video does that. Video does that regardless of what stage in your business you're in, and it is vital, and it's only going to get more important as time goes on. So let's ignite your video spark together and join this video challenge. So again, it starts on May 6th, and I'm going to share the link that you need to sign up on in the comments below. All right, take care, and I'll see you later.